in between times of quitting the Flowerses and transitioning, I'd been with a group called Johnny Bernard and the Sunset Cowboys. We went from Oklahoma because Johnny's from Oklahoma. He had a couple of hits. He taught me a lot about music. He taught me that you want to be your name and the group, because if you had a name with somebody else and you were in a group, if that person quit, then your whole music goes down the tubes. Because he had been married. Julie Jones was her name, Johnny and Julie. And they had this hit record and they were flying high until Julie, she left with somebody, and that just tore the group apart. Nobody wanted half an act. So he told me that. But we went to Indian Wells, and we were at the place had been owned by Lucy and Desi. We're supposed to be there for the whole entire summer and going into the winter, but we were there and it was hot. I just remember it was so hot. Something happened that we didn't stay, and the gig was over. Came back to Ohio. People said, well, how'd you get the name Kathy B? Because my husband's name was Benoit. Benoit is what he called it, and nobody knew how to say it on the stage. They tore it up. They didn't know my last name. And I wanted this to be easy. Well, when I was at the school as a junior instructor, I went back to Ohio State School of Cosmetology. My dad was so happy. Oh my gosh, my daughter is a junior instructor. She's at Ohio State. And I was there just because I had quit music. But I was writing more at home on my off time, writing more songs because I love music. I missed it so much in that short period of time. But the kids at the cosmetology school, they couldn't say that name Benoit either. Or who said Benoit? David Benoit, but nobody at the time. 70s, early 70s. Basically, they called me Miss B. Miss B. And oh boy, I loved it. I mean, that's me. I love this name. So I adopted the name. This is my stage name, Miss B. I had a group of my own on the road. The guys were basically from Texas. We first met in Shawnee, Oklahoma, and then we went to Houston. The guy who was the leader of a group there, the group that I had joined him by that time, my husband joined me on the road. The guy who was the leader, he quit. And I said, hey, I have an agent and I know how to manage, and I can be you guys' leader. So I'm all of 22 years old, and I'm leading this band, and it was fantastic. We called ourselves Kathy B in the Santa Fe Junction. We would go from Wichita, Kansas, Shawnee, Oklahoma, a lot of places in Texas, Louisiana, North Dakota, South Dakota. We went different places through agencies. We played the dinner theaters, the Hiltons and things like that. We were your lounge group, and I loved it because it gave me an opportunity to sing everything. I could do my country music, and I could also sing some Barbra Streisand people, all this, and Linda Ronstadt, all these people I listened to on the radio. So I was able to do all of those and sing the songs my sister sang from Motown and all of that in this group because we were a variety group. We would come in on a Monday, and nobody would know when we first arrived. They didn't know who we were. But by the time Saturday hit, oh my gosh, we packed the place. The Flowers is we were doing one-nighters. This one, we did 1-2 weeks. The only time Flowers is we sat down a little longer was when we did that Mid-South Fair in Memphis, which was a lot longer. I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks. I loved it. It was fun. So with my group, I was able to experience having a very, very wonderful group. These guys played by ear. You could put a record on. And our challenge was to see if we could do the top hit that was out and judge it before it made number one. We took 2 days off and we rehearsed the other days, and everybody in the group would bring the records in and then see if we could guess what the hit was going to be. And we were pretty good at it. We really were. I remember one of the highlights was singing Send in the Clowns in a country music like setting. Send in the Clowns was always special to me because my brother, who was the oldest of the kids, he had been in Vietnam and he was injured over in Vietnam. He was 18 when he went over there, and he come back home and got married, had a little one. It didn't work out that well. Basically, that's the last time I saw him. It was Christmas of 1974. 1975, January the 8th, he got in a car accident and he passed away. A week before that, between Christmas and him passing away, he called me up on the phone and I was telling him about the Flowers family and how excited I was to be in a group. And he told me, he says, I will never see you in a country group. And he didn't. And he was a great drummer. He was trying to put together gigs for me as well. It just didn't work out. So every time I heard a song, Sending the Clowns, and Judy Collins doing her version of it, I dedicated that to him. Isn't it rich? Don't you approve? One who keeps tearing around, one who can't move. Where are the clowns? Quick, sending the clowns. Well, maybe next year. Yeah, I was dedicated it to him. I still into this day, all these years later, and that was 1975. When I was in Shawnee, Oklahoma, with Fe Junction, I called up my friend Johnny Bernard, who I went to Indian Wells with, and I said, Johnny, I have some songs I want to do. I want to do some recordings of my country songs. And I said, would you help me produce it? He said, yeah. We did. We went to Oklahoma City and we did my song, I Miss You, and A Pain in Me. And I was just overjoyed. So we took it to some stations and got airplay. And then there was a guy in Oklahoma City, his name was Danny. He had a show called Danny's Day, and he had on his show Mary Hart. This is before she was in Entertainment Tonight. She went on to California and became a host on Entertainment Tonight. I got to sing. The song was interviewed on Danny's Day and to meet Mary Hart. So that was fantastic too. My group, we went for a whole year without taking any time off. So we're in San Angelo, Texas. Guy comes up, he heard us, and he was a financial manager for Steve Miller Band, Fly Like an Eagle. He said, if you ever come to San Francisco, you're ever out in California, I could get Steve in the group to cut some, if you've got some songs you've written, they could be your background. I can get you in their studio and they can help you out. And I'm going, oh, well, yeah, I'll take you up on that. Well, I did. The next thing, we were just going to take a break, the band, and Jim and I, my first husband, Jim and I, we got in our Cadillac, and older Cadillac, and moved to California. West place you ought to be, because it loaded up the truck and moved to Beverly. So it wasn't Beverly Hills.